and across Canada right now. The cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of gas. But what this government is doing is ensuring that post-secondary education is affordable for all students in this province.
Thank you. The next question, the member for Toronto Centre.
Thank you very much. My question is to the Premier. The Attorney General recently put 2 of the Premier's buddies onto the committee responsible for judicial appointments. Shockingly, when the Premier was asked about these appointments, he said that he wants to ensure that the committee is only recommending Conservative affiliated judges. He went so far as to suggest that if a judicial candidate had voted for the NDP or Liberals, that they are a threat to public safety. Speaker, yet it is on this government's watch that our criminal justice system has spiraled into chaos. It's on this Premier's watch that our courtrooms are closed every day due to understaffing. It's on his watch that serious cases are routinely thrown out or delayed. Will the Premier reverse his partisan appointments, or is he just comfortable further undermining public confidence in the justice system?
Members will please take their seats. To respond, the Attorney General.
Speaker, and I want to start with the acknowledgement that only those that would always be political expect others to always be political, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's my obligation to make recommendations to the Cabinet to appoint judges. I take that responsibility seriously, and obviously I want advice from those that I respect, Mr. Speaker. The Advisory Committee provides the advice, and it has more than 2 members on it. In fact, it has 3 judges on the committee, so I don't know if the member opposite is maligning all of the members of the committee or just the ones that she doesn't agree with, which kind of is ironic given that she doesn't want their advice and she doesn't think we should have it. I take the committee's collective advice, Mr. Speaker, and these Liberals in sandals over here, Mr. Speaker, are no different than these Liberals over here in that they want to appoint advisors for me. Shocking that a Conservative government wants to hear from Conservative voices, Mr. Speaker. As Brian Lilly said, they're only upset because they think they should still get to make the decisions, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Supplementary question back to the member for Toronto Centre.
Thank you, Speaker. Back to the Premier. 6 years in power, and the Conservatives are still making up excuses for the worsening crisis in our justice system. The Federation of Ontario Law Associations put out one of the more measured statements in response to the Premier's comments, saying that the Premier has a juvenile misapprehension of the judicial appointments and that his comments are irresponsible, harmful, and dangerous to our democracy, Speaker. It is shocking that even in that criminal justice system, the Premier's focus seems to be entirely on producing favors for his insiders.
Government side, come to order.
Sitting across from me, Speaker, were given useless titles around King's Council. And now this government is putting unqualified friends into a position where they get to do favors for more Conservative allies. Speaker, will the Premier reverse these appointments and apologize to the public and the legal community for their interference in the judicial appointments?
To respond, order. The House will come to order. Stop the clock. Are we ready to continue? Evidently not. Okay, start the clock. The Attorney General can reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I was missing Mitzi Hunter's 5-in-1 questions so that I could address the successes of this government. But I'm glad to see the tradition continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that this government takes judicial appointments seriously. We have appointed 100 judicial positions, Mr. Speaker, and I would take I would take exception if they could even point to one that isn't qualified, Mr. Speaker. We have a committee that's been in place since 1985. Mr. Speaker, it's been populated with volunteers and judges ever since, and we have a gold standard of appointments of judges, and that standard has continued. Only because the Toronto Star wrote a story are the NDP now paying attention, Mr. Speaker, and I am happy to go through every single one of the judicial appointments, and you will see that they are in fact qualified. Mr. Speaker, the government, you would think a government in waiting would have a little better understanding of how the system works, Mr. Speaker, but I'm afraid we don't. So we will continue with the